Hello.
Good morning.
All right. Let's see. Today is May 25th. I'll start by looking at some pull requests. Let's see. I'll start with the closed ones. I think two interesting things happened. Oh, one of them's not on here. So the first one is that the how I merged the right lock intention patch on the async messenger. This is something that came up in the profile as quite a bit of time spent waiting on this particular lock, and so we rearranged the code a little bit in the messenger, and now we don't sit there. So that's good. I don't know if we have like a sort of a run after that showed what the net gain was, but presumably it helps some. The BlueFS patch merged. It doesn't actually enable BlueFS sync write yet, but it does fix a bug in master, so it's now safe to use BlueFS sync write. The performance difference seems to be negligible, so we're sort of leaving it where it is for now. The CRC pull request that we talked about last week, I went ahead and merged that. Feel free to follow up with changes to the constant if we have a better idea where that threshold should be. But it probably doesn't matter that much. I don't know how often actually we're calculating CRCs on zero buffers anyway. Let's see, we closed the Zipkin branch because the Liberator stuff was rebased and merged a couple weeks ago, and I think the RBD one also just merged, and so the original PR is closed. Zipkin is now merged, so yay. And the last one that's probably the most interesting on the BlueSource side is the KV sync thread that's gone through several iterations, originally starting with some work at Intel by Sean Peng, has merged. And that shows like a 10% change on NVMe. A little less than the 30% Mark was saying when it had also eliminating the finisher, but there's a deadlock that happens if you do that. So needs some more work before we can sort of go all the way. But that's good. Let's see, a couple of them are still in flight. Igor had a pull request that he comments on the Q transaction thing. I haven't seen that actually yet. That came from that Alibaba, I think they opened that PR. Anyway, I haven't seen those comments yet. I'll take a look. There's one for RocksDB that avoids a memory copy. Not sure. I think it just mostly needs to go through QA. I would assume it's going to help marginally, but hasn't been tested from performance side. And there's this old one that adds a discard method for SSD. Yeah, that still needs work. And then there's some new ones. Sean Peg has a batch throttle. I haven't looked at that yet. On cleanups, it's not actually really performance related, I don't think, but that's going through testing right now. There is a change to the encoding de-encode code that we turned up on Big Bang, though. It behaves horrendously when the buffer is fragmented and you're trying to code using a legacy encode decode stuff on top of it. So need to fix that. I think that's it. There's a bunch of old stuff here that hasn't really seen any movement. Yeah. I don't think anything here is worth mentioning. I guess the only one here that I think is still in play for Luminous is one that that does EC. There we go. The second one, try to unshare blobs for EC overwrite workload. That showed some failures in QA, but I need to fix those, and you should merge that for Luminous because it'll make BlueStore behave much better on the EC overwrite pools. And I think that's it for the PRs. Any Any questions, comments?
Sage, was there one that you said that was missing?
It was the one that you added in there while I was talking, the KB sync thread.
Yeah,
that's the most notable.
I just had it in the wrong part. I was listed under the updated rather than closed section.
Yeah. And then let's see, what's this one? 1510, 15100. Oh, that one. Okay, so this, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you merged the other one, which was common improved CRC calculation for zero buffers, which is great. And then I'll just want to let you know my plan is to rebase to sort of incorporate those changes, and then continue working on which is slightly faster on power. For Intel, the one you've already pulled is faster. So,
okay. Okay. Yep. Sounds good. Yeah. Just ping somebody when it's rebased, and we will tag it as needs QA.
Great.
Once it gets reviewed. Sounds good. Okay. Anything else on the PRs? Let's see. The other thing. Well, yeah, we can go ahead and go to the discussion topics. So the first thing is Blue Store. Mark's been doing more testing and number of recent improvements to the point where we had set min-Alex size to 16K on NVMe because it was faster, even though there's more write amp. But it looks like that may no longer be the case. It might be about the same. And so having a 4K min-Alex size seems to be performing about the same. So that's encouraging, but there is a memory leak. Mark, that memory leak, that's the memory leak that you've been talking about. Does that only happen when min-Alex size is 4K?
Yeah, that's just happening right now with min-Alex size is 4K, but one of the things I have noticed is that on OSD restart with it, the overall memory usage looks like it's lower than it is even with like a 16K min-Alex size when it's not restarted. So it might be that even in the 16K case, we're using more memory, and maybe it's maybe there is some ceiling that we hit where it starts stabilizing. But I mean, it's past 11 gigabytes RSS with 4K min-Alex size, so that's
not going to work.
Yeah. So maybe I don't know, but so I'm not sure exactly if we are or are not seeing it with 16K, and we're just hitting a much lower threshold. But
well, I'll try to reproduce it with 4K either way.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Data from RocksDB slices 0 copy, but we copy it when writing.
So that's from last week. If you scroll down the Etherpad, there's you can see it there. It's line 6097 of the trace that was included there. But one of the reasons why 4K min-Alex size is probably faster is because we do like half the copying there.
Oh, right. There's less data going through RocksDB and it gets copied.
Yep, because that's all right ahead log writes.
Yeah. So in theory, if RocksDB was writing into page-aligned memory and was writing in page-aligned units, and we used the BlueFS sync write, then we could avoid that copy. But we don't do that. That might be an interesting change to make to RocksDB to make it change its log format so that it does do that. That would probably help lots of people. Because even so, if you are trying to write and you aren't aligned to a page, then you have to wait for the I/O for the previous page to be to complete before you write again. You can't have two I/Os to the same block outstanding, or else it could race in the block layer. So it's also sort of a serialization thing. There's this annoying wait code in there. That's less efficient. Okay. So you've seen that 9% in time and mem copy. You've seen that you measured with the 4K malloc size and that went away?
It doesn't go
Or went
away,
down?
but it goes down to maybe like 3.5 to 4.
Yeah.
It's basically like half,
Yeah,
roughly.
that makes sense. That makes sense. Cool. Okay. It sounds like in this final stretch, we need to sort of answer a couple of key questions, like 4K versus 16K malloc size
Yeah.
for SSD, mem table size, compaction mode. It might be that we want different RocksDB options for SSD versus HDD. Might want to have different sets of options depending on the device type.
Yeah. It seems like at this point, a lot of the issues that we're running into are kind of RocksDB, right? I mean, we've eliminated a lot of stuff in BlueStore itself, and now it's kind of, we see a lot of time spent in key comparisons in RocksDB. We see kind of this mem copy that is sort of us, but not really because of the alignment issue.
Yep.
For log writes. And then
yeah,
the mem table stuff is kind of, the large mem tables we like because, one, for read ahead it's nice, and then also it's reducing our array amp. But obviously other downsides to it. So it's all kind of, the right ways to get around these sound like they're unfortunately it means changing the code in RocksDB.
Yep. So it'll be a little while. It might be something we can backport though. It'd be a change that's localized to RocksDB, but we'll see. Okay, what else? Async Messenger. You tested Hami's write lock PR?
Yeah, it doesn't improve performance in any of the tests that I ran, but the lock contention was almost like totally eliminated. So
okay,
it looked good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's shift it somewhere else. Sounds good. Let's see, other things going on. BlueStore FS check, filling a disk up, and then making sure that it doesn't, you can actually run it. Figure out what the memory envelope is, make sure it works. So that's going on. And what else is happening? I can talk a little bit about the Big Bang stuff that's been happening the last 2 weeks. So we have a temporary cluster set up at CERN that has like 200 hosts or something. It's supposed to be 10,000 OSDs, although we never had actually added all 10,000. Right now we have like 6,500 OSDs in the system. And we're testing all the new code for the monitor and manager with stats going to the manager and making sure it's stable and fixing a bunch of stuff. So that work is ongoing. I'm still fixing a bunch of things, but making good progress. The most recent issue I hit yesterday was that a whole rack of OSDs went down. I created a pool with 256,000 PGs. So this is actually kind of too many PGs for this size cluster. But I just wanted to see what happens. And then a whole rack went down. And so a bazillion PGs in the OSD map got remapped to PG temp with PG temp entries. And then we started seeing the memory usage for the decoded OSD map balloon because it's a red-black tree and it's just super inefficient. It's a red-black tree of vectors, which then have another allocation. So it's like 2 allocations per node. And there are like 100,000 of these mappings. So I have a patch that makes OSD map use a B tree and sort of a flat buffer for that index. So it's only a few handful of memory allocations and much more compact and it's faster. So testing that, but haven't really got a chance to figure out what happens once that's deployed. So still working on that. It's sort of challenging to diagnose because there's just having so many PGs means that just random things that are totally reasonable to spend CPU time on suddenly take a long time, and then you start hitting weird timeouts and you have to figure out what part is slow and why, and it's kind of hard to debug. So working through that, but it's been good. Hopefully we'll be able to like have a fully stable cluster at either 6,500 or 10,000 OSDs and sort of check that box, but we'll see. That's it for me. Any other topics people want to talk about? Right now that cluster has 6,500 OSDs. The machines, there are enough machines for 10,000 OSDs, but they aren't all added to the cluster. I'm not sure if that's because they didn't all get deployed or because we just didn't add them yet. So because we've been working through a bunch of other stuff at the time. So hopefully we'll get to 10,000 by the end of the week. Me. Anything else? Anything else anyone wants to talk about? Or do we have a short call this week? I think we might have a short call. All right.
Very good.
Cool. Have a good week, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks.
See you next week, guys.
See you guys.